Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and load another family from where I was. I'm going to use this precast double T, right? We're still in that structural framing precast concrete directory. So we're going to bring that double T in. And then with that double T, I'm just going to click here and I'm going to, oh, sorry everybody, let me share my screen. I forgot to do that. There we go. So, okay, so if I load that family, it's going to breed this precast double T in that same directory as where the L beam was. So I've got that, right? And now I'm going to grab this 8 by 18 and I'm going to place one and I'm going to place it at this precast datum level. And I'm just going to click here and I'm going to drag it across to here from right now and just drop it. And then if I go into my section view, I can see that precast double T right there. And then in my 3D view, I can also come in and see where that double T is. And just to get you a little information on that, what does that 8 by 18 inch mean? Well, you see the depth is 18 inches and it's what? 8 feet wide, right? 8 feet wide, 18 inches deep. 8 by 18. Now we could change those dimensions if we wanted to, but we really don't need to. I just wanted to show you all that. And now in this section, now we've got to figure out um, how we want to adjust these items based on our datums, okay? So let's do a couple other things first. We need some support on the other side. So we're going to draw another one of these walls in here, and we're going to place these walls together, right? I'm not just going to back this up against this wall here. I'm going to go ahead and put another wall in here. So I'm going to hit create similar, and I want the base constraint of this to be the first floor, and I want it to go up to that precast datum for right now. All right, and now I'm going to come in here. I don't want to do bottom of footing. I want to do first floor, and I want to go up. You know what? For right now, I'm going to do unconnected. How about that? And then I'm going to flip and hit my space bar, and I'm going to stop this wall. I'm gonna drop it right here for right now, and I'm gonna click on this and I'm going to disallow that join, right? And now I'm gonna just drag it to touch this wall, this interior wall. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side where this cafe is. Matter of fact, I can probably grab that wall, disallow the join on this other side if I wanted to. Although I don't think I really need to, I'll go ahead and disallow that joint as well and drag this to here. And then I'm just going to copy this wall. All right, I'm going to copy this wall into this area right here. Right, I know it's sticking out. Revit's yelling at me. I'm just going to drag this end to right there. Right, and then I can drag this other end to right here. And now I should be able to copy these columns here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 without Revit being upset. Let me go ahead and copy it against this wall right here. Yep. And now I shouldn't have that same problem. So now all my columns, if I look in my 3D view, I've got columns where I want them for right now. Now let's see if I can grab this wall here and this wall here and say, I want you to go to this precast datum. See, there we go. So now it's at that precast datum. So what you're seeing is now I'm building a way for us to have these columns to rest on something in addition to that, so that I can attach these beams and this other column to something I need as far as doing a detail. And one thing that we're going to come up with soon, people, as you can see, you're going to have this detail on your drawings, and we're going to use this from AutoCAD. We don't have to build it in Revit, and I'll be providing that detail for you. But it's kind of showing the double T's, and it's also showing besides the double T's, it's showing the L beam there and that general connection. Okay, so you'll be seeing that pop up there for you on Blackboard in the next day or so. But in the meantime, we need to get all our levels and our datums correct on here. So let's try and do that now. So if we're saying our precast datum is here, and what I'm going to call that, instead of the datum, I kind of decide I'm going to call that, I'm going to call it the precast wall or precast parapet. All right, we'll rename that to precast parapet. 14 foot is going to be the top of our wall here. We're going to ignore this second floor right now because that second floor applies to the other building. This is essentially a separate building, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to say we need our precast columns to come down to a level so that this can sit on top of it, right? So we're going to have to drop down several things here. First of all, this let's work at doing our beam first, our L beam. So I'm going to click on that L beam. I'm going to say I want that L beam, even though it's at that precast parapet level. I want to drop it down. I want to take it down 1 foot on each side, or actually I think that's gonna be 1'6", and you'll kind of maybe see why. We still may adjust it slightly, but once I do that, you see how that dropped down, right? Because now we have our double T here, right? And with our double T is going to sit down some as well. So let's say if we know right now, right, here's our double T. Let's see what our distance is. Let's just measure from here down to here. It's a foot, right? It's essentially a foot. So we may be needing to do some adjusting. What do I mean by adjusting? Well, if I click here on this beam, this L beam that you can kind of see it right there. Whoops. You can kind of see it in my drawing there. I may need to adjust this height right here. How would I adjust that height? Let's look at that. Well, if I go to edit type, right? You see I have an H height and an H1 height. The H1 height is a foot and the H height is 1'8". Well, where are those different heights? Well, let's look. Okay, so if I do a measuring here, I can come in here and there's my 1'8", and you can probably guess this other height is 8 inches, and then this height here is 1 foot, right? So here we go. We've got, let's look at this while it's highlighted. That H1 height, which is this height, is 1 foot. The H height is 1'8", right? And then that seat right here is 6 inches where the double T is going to sit. Just like we can see in this video, see how the double T is sitting in there? We're going to have our double T sit there. So what we probably want to do is look and see how our other height might need to adjust to accommodate our double T, which is essentially what? If I bring this down, right, just like I did my other one, oh, I'm sorry, if I bring that down minus 1'6", and this is where it can be a little challenging at times, people, but the good news is we'll only have to do it once, and then we're going to copy this thing. You see how that dropped that down 1'6", really? So let's look at, when we drop that down 1'6", that difference in there is what? It's 6 inches. Now I want to pause the video so we can talk about something. So what we decided is that we need to raise this up 6 inches. So I'm going to go and change this to 1 foot there. And I'm going to make it 1 foot there. And when I do that, see how that's sitting there now, right? So that's sitting there the way it needs to. I'm going to go to a different level. I'm going to go to this precast parapet level, right? And from this precast parapet level, I can't see very much right now. But if I go in and I change the view range and I say, let me see the level below, which is kind of the second floor. Oh, I'm sorry. First floor, right? And the view depth, oh, I'm sorry, the bottom is going to be the associated level, but then the view depth is going to be the first floor. You see how I can see my double T now, right? And if I can see that double T, I can stretch that over. Whoops. Okay. So now go back to my section. Oh, hold on, let me fix that. You see how I need to adjust that. Kind of got out of whack. There we go. All right. So now you can see I might need to adjust the top of this as well. And you can see that I need to adjust that, right? So that 18 LB 20, look at what I need to adjust. I probably need to adjust that H1 height another 6 inches. So instead of 20 inches, it should be 26 inches, which would be what? It would be 2'2", right? So I need to duplicate this and say, I'm going to call this an 18 LB 26, and I'm going to adjust this height to 2'2". All right. And so now that my height here is right, you can see how it dropped that whole thing down. Again, I'll let you see that one more time because it's kind of hard to see here. Whoops, let's go back a step. You can see how I adjusted that height. And when I adjusted that height and I edited the type, all right, hold on a second, and duplicated it and say I'm going to make this a 26, and I change this height to 2'2". Watch what happens when I do that. You see it drops the bottom of that. It drops the overall, which means what? If I drop that and I want this thing to stay in that seat, I need to change this height right here, right? So that's the height that I really want to change. If I do that, and hold on a second, I need to remake that type again. I went back too many steps. Oh, it says it's already in use, so there it is. Okay, so that's 2'2". Now I've got to change that H1. Okay, so there is really in the end what I want this thing to look like. All right, and now the top is kind of even with that. You see what I've got there? All right, so now my height and my seat and everything is where I want it. Obviously, I need to pull this back some. So let's go to that level, that datum, and let's pull that back. So that's kind of sitting there. And now if I SD, I can kind of see my precast element is sitting there, my beam is sitting there. Now I need to drop this column from there down to the bottom of that, and we'll pick up and do that in the next video.